Hello and welcome to the second annual WaterAid at Home. I'm Jonathan Chapman from the WaterAid media team.
And I'm Beck Hill, comedian and presenter and fan of WaterAid. In fact, in 2014, I won the nation's favourite toilet joke award.
You're fantastically welcome, Beck, and thanks so much for joining us. Tell us about this amazing T-shirt you're wearing.
Oh yes, I made this T-shirt last year to raise money for WaterAid. It's £5,000 it raised from all the supporters.
Fantastic. And I can see we've got lots of people joining from all over the UK. We've got people from Glasgow, Northern Ireland, and even Egypt. Welcome to you all. We're so excited to have you here again. We've got lots of great content to show you, what we've achieved this year with your support, and what's to come in 2022.
Coming up, we'll be looking at how WaterAid responded to the COVID-19 pandemic around the world to help protect people from the spread of disease.
We've got amazing stories, inspirational partners, and people going to all lengths to get clean water, decent toilets, and good hygiene to those who need it, including individuals cycling the entire coast of Great Britain.
We will take a look at this year's climate campaign and get an insight into what it was really like to be inside the COP26 climate summit last month from WaterAid staff on the ground.
And we'll be launching our winter appeal, Thirst for Knowledge, which is focusing on bringing water, sanitation and hygiene to girls in Nepal.
We want to hear from you too. So even though you can just sit back, relax and enjoy a midday drink, we'd also like to answer some of your questions. You can submit them using Slido's Q&A tab, and we'll put forward your questions to our panel of experts from WaterAid throughout the hour.
We'll do our best to answer as many questions as we can live. But if your question does not get asked, or you're watching this at a later date, you can email our supporter care team at supportercare@wateraid.org.
So to blow the starter whistle for the show, here's WaterAid's Chief Executive, Tim Wainwright.
What a year. But I do feel incredibly proud of what WaterAid has been able to bring to communities around the world at a time when people have never needed water, sanitation and hygiene more than today. And I'm also incredibly grateful to our supporters who've stood by us at such a difficult time, enabling us to do this work at a time when they themselves will have had myriad challenges in their personal and professional lives. And of course, in this situation, faced by the threat of COVID and climate, it's never been more clear how important getting water, sanitation and hygiene to the poorest people in the world has been. WaterAid's work could never be more important. And yet, we know that only 13 pence per head is the amount of climate finance that is focused on water in the poorest countries that are most water scarce. So we've been really trying to persuade the world to prioritise water. For instance, at the recent COP26 meeting hosted in the UK in Glasgow. So you're going to hear more about all of this right now. Just looking ahead, we're developing a new strategy for WaterAid. You'll hear more about that in early next year. But at the heart of that will be about how we can go further to bring resilient water, sanitation and hygiene to the poorest countries in the world, to the poorest communities, to enable them to be resilient to the twin threats posed by pandemics like COVID, wider health risks, and a changing climate. So thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoy this, and thank you so much for your support.
Well said. Thank you, Tim Wainwright. Okay, Jonathan, shall we get cracking?
Yes, let's dive straight in with an update on last year's winter appeal, which was to deliver clean water to Frat, a close community of villages in Ethiopia, which have struggled with droughts and the effects of climate change. Here's what happened.
Salam.
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 Wow, £6 million. That's so much. What do you think the key to the success of this campaign was?
Well, I think one of the keys was the links between the communities of Frat and those in the UK. The people of Frat even put on Amharic language lessons for the people in the UK, which is amazing.
Yes, I did one of those on the website, and actually I learnt the word for water, which is woha, which is so much more fun to say, and also very handy if you're very thirsty and trying to slow down a horse.
Anyway, let's find out how it all went. I spoke earlier to Frehewot Gebrebold from our WaterAid Ethiopia team about how the project had been progressing. Frehewot, thanks so much for joining us on this broadcast. Tell us about the progress so far on the project.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. It's my pleasure. The project, so far, we've had a community training and promotion in hygiene behavioral change activities on the community, and so far we have about 448 households building their own toilets with hand washing facilities. Besides, we've built 2 toilet blocks for Frat Primary School, which is inclusive, and the students are very happy. It has a hand washing facility as well as a water tanker. Though the project is delayed because of the bad weather that we have in Ethiopia last year, it has now going very well. The drilling process have started now, and we've also paved the way to the project site so that the drilling machine can go there directly.
And there have also been some security challenges. How have they managed to keep the project on track in spite of those?
Yeah, the war zone is a bit far from our project site. It's about 300 kilometers away, though the government has declared state of emergency for all government offices to focus and support the war currently. But our stakeholders are working very closely with us, and we're still managing to do the project as planned.
And how has the community itself been able to progress the project?
The community is very much involved in the project. They are very eager to have the water, to have access to clean water, and they're working with us very closely, and they are providing their labor. For example, when the road to the project site was paved, they were digging and helping us with their labor. Besides, when we were taking pipeline to the project site, they were unloading it from the trucks, and they were making sure that it's placed in a safe place.
And what will it mean to them in the end to get clean water in the village?
For a community like Frat, it means a lot to have clean water in the village because they're hardworking and they're predominantly farmers. So having clean water is a life-changing experience for them. They will focus on their farm now, and they will generate more income. And most of the children were sick because of waterborne diseases because their only means of water was a river, which is dirty. But now having clean water will make their children healthier, and they will save the money that they would spend on their medication and invest it on other income generating activities.
And what's it meant for you personally to be involved in such a project?
It really means a lot for me because when I visited the community in Frat, they were very friendly, they were very welcoming, they were hardworking. They even if they have so many challenges, they work together in collaboration to overcome those challenges. So providing clean water and supporting these communities means a lot to me, and I think it means a lot to WaterAid in general.
Frehewot, thanks so much for joining us. It's been great talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jonathan.
The COVID pandemic continued to dominate WaterAid's work, at least for the first half of this year. Many of our programmes were involved with national hygiene campaigns encouraging hand washing as a way of containing the spread of the virus.
In Malawi, the focus was on delivering hand washing facilities, hygiene kits and personal protection equipment to 8 hospitals and 93 health clinics, ensuring these places prevent diseases rather than spread them.
In East Africa, the WaterAid teams launched a programme at international border points to offer particularly truck drivers the chance to wash their hands and curb the spread of COVID around the region. In Sierra Leone, they used a traditional masquerade to drive home hygiene messages to villagers.
WaterAid Bangladesh tried putting their hand washing stations on wheels to reach commuters, and this public service broadcast was an effective way of getting basic hygiene messages across in Pakistan.
कोरोना का डब्बा गोल हाथों पर कुछ साबन घोल
In Mozambique, the country programme engaged the services of their ambassador, former Olympic champion Maria Matola, to support their hygiene messages. In neighbouring Eswatini, female market vendors received hygiene hampers. And for those who didn't have soap at home, why not learn to make it themselves?
And these young Ugandan boys found their own special way to urge their classmates to wash their hands.
Remember, hand washing is one of the best ways to protect yourself and your family from getting sick. Masaka, Mr. Masaka, Amini Moose, dancing Moose, Amini Moose, dancing Moose, Amini Moose, dancing Moose, show me your moves, dancing moves, show me your moves, dancing moves, baby, 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 malesbo, maskia lesbo, baby, malesbo, baby, 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 malesbo, maskia lesbo, baby, malesbo, cuckoo, kalesese, chuka, kalesese, cuckoo, kalesese, chuka, kalesese,
They're so talented. It's such an effective way as well. In fact, I saw Jonathan doing that dance when he was washing his hands earlier, didn't I, Jonathan?
Completely, and
he's going to show you now.
but I'm just afraid my dad dancing was going to show up these young boys, but so I decided to leave it out for this time. But anyway, we've got some more pictures from Odisha in eastern India. What on earth's going on here? These school students are practicing sounding the alarm around their village for cyclones or heat waves. And they've been taught to use scientific measurement tools and how to cope in the aftermath of a weather event to use skills like decontaminating flooded water pumps.
And for more stories of resilience, here's Maureen Nkandu, the Southern Africa Regional Communications Manager.
Greetings from the Zambian capital, Lusaka, where the biggest event this year has been the general election. It is always a key time for advocacy with the candidates to ensure that the issues on which we campaign feature prominently in their political priorities. WaterAid Zambia was involved in a month-long series of broadcasts, advertisements using local celebrities, chiefs, and political engagements, culminating in the new government expressing its political will to prioritize water, sanitation, and hygiene issues. Political unrest has been a serious factor for our colleagues working both south from here in Eswatini, further north in Ethiopia, and for those far away in WaterAid Myanmar. But in Liberia, WaterAid has been looking to applying technology solutions to basic problems of sanitation, introducing this biodigester, which deals both with issues of access and waste disposal, as well as producing usable fertilizer for crops. And these tiger worms are apparently key to the process. Rainwater harvesting has also been a focus in Bangladesh, where it is now written in the code for new buildings in Dhaka that they should be constructed with a capacity to capture and store rainwater. WaterAid Rwanda has also been involved in rainwater harvesting in rural areas. WaterAid Nepal used the opportunity of government vaccination campaigns, particularly for mothers and infants, to run hygiene behavior change education programs at such a key moment in the lives of the mother and the child. And in Burkina Faso, the WaterAid team used the vehicle of Africa's biggest cycling race, Le Tour de Faso, to promote water, sanitation, and hygiene issues in the 10 regions covered by the course. And now we go back to you in London.
Thanks to Maureen. And just a reminder, you can submit your questions anytime during this broadcast for our panel of experts to answer. Also coming up, we want to know what's your favourite word for toilet. Add yours right now to the word cloud on your screen. Let's take a look at what's been going on here in the UK. Beck.
In 1981, members of the UK water industry united to create a single organisation dedicated to tackling the water crisis. Together, they founded WaterAid. So this year, WaterAid is celebrating the 40th anniversary of its partnership with UK water companies. WaterAid would like to say thank you for still being committed partners in this particularly challenging year. So joining us, we have another guest to introduce the anniversary film.
Hello everybody, my name's Heidi Mottram and I'm Chief Executive of Northumbrian Water and also incredibly proud to be a trustee of WaterAid. And we're hearing today about the fantastic work that WaterAid staff and our partners all the way across the globe have done to protect communities as the pandemic emerged. And we're also looking back on the fact that it's 40 years since the water industry in the UK, came together to form this fantastic charity. And over those years in between, we've worked hard to make sure that communities around the world have the right and the access to clean water, sanitation, and good hygiene. I think that those founding partners would feel very proud if they could see the work that's been done and continues to be done. And I think our partnership is stronger than it's ever been. The need is still there, and we're working hard to make sure that we do continue to provide, as I said, that access to clean water, sanitation, and good hygiene. So we've put together a film of everything that we've been doing together and our plans for the future. And I really hope that you enjoy watching that now.
Wow, 40 years as well, just 1981, it's scary. And I can't believe just 20 years after that you and I were born. But
I wish.
But a lot has changed, and it's quite scary actually, considering the amount of climate change that's happened. What challenges do you think we'll be seeing in the next 40 years?
Well, it's a good question, isn't it? And I think probably we're going to see more climate change impacts as part of our daily news diet over the next 40 years, the increasing number of people involved. But I do think that the work that WaterAid is doing to make water central to any solution is invaluable. But we're also celebrating another anniversary this year, 10 years with the UK drinks company Baloo. Baloo are a social enterprise and invest all its profits, totalling over £5 million, to WaterAid projects. To date, they've transformed the lives of over 300,000 people around the world. So let's go over to hear now from the Joint Chief Executive Officers Charlotte Harrington and Natalie Campbell. Thank you so much for your amazing support.
Thanks very much. We chose WaterAid as our impact partner because they are global experts in water, sanitation and hygiene, and were therefore the natural choice for Baloo to ensure that the net profits we invest with them really can help improve the global water crisis.
Baloo's purpose is to change the way the world sees water. Together with WaterAid, we know we can make a difference to the lives of so many people around the world and really tackle the climate crisis. We hope you're inspired to join us. Have a wonderful afternoon and we'll see you all soon. We can't do this without the great work and support all our customers give us.
So thank you for drinking the difference and enabling Baloo to help people and planet.
Here's to the next 10 years.
Thanks, Charlotte and Natalie. You blew me away. Get it? Because it's like the water, Baloo.
It's
the
a
name.
cracker.
Thank you very much. I'm here all week. Try the water. So how about bringing a bit of glitz and glamour to the smallest room in the house? For World Toilet Day last month, WaterAid teamed up with photographer and director Rankin to elevate, that's not a pun by the way, on rank, to elevate the status of the humble loo. 25 artists, comedians, designers and musicians created these toilet seat designs for your derriere.
You just want him to be behind it going, Harry Hill. Hi, my name's Rankin and I've teamed up with WaterAid to create a series of toilet seats.
Oh my God, is that velvet?
With 25 different celebrities and artists to celebrate World Toilet Day.
It's a throne! You'd never let anyone sit on it, would you?
No.
Some of the amazing people that have got involved are Ham Hogg, Val Garland, Martin Parr, Hayden Kays.
This is Boy George's.
I think this one's really cool.
Do you have a title for your seat then?
Kiss my...
This is fab! The thing about toilets is we don't necessarily love talking about them. So we've made this fun and accessible whilst also talking about something very important.
I found it shocking that 1 in 5 people don't have access to a toilet.
It's just heartbreaking, to be honest.
Women have to deal with their period and going to the toilet in an exposed area.
I wanted to highlight the paradox between something we take for granted and something that so many people in the world don't have access to.
I've used the toilet this morning, do you know what I mean? Why can't everybody else have that?
I think it's so important that everyone should have access to a toilet.
It's just a human right.
Do my lips look big in this?
Do my lips look big in this?
The best seat in the house is all about lifting the lid on sanitation. And if you want to know more, go to wateraid.org. That's all, folks.
I love those. I don't know whether to sit on them or put them on my wall. Did you have a favourite?
Well, the one which made me laugh was Val Garland's red lips, I have to say, but I wasn't quite sure how practical it was.
Yeah, and the toilet seat too. But it is shocking that 1 in 5 people don't have access to a proper toilet.
And that, of course, has a huge impact on health, education, dignity and safety. So the purpose of the campaign was to really highlight this issue.
We also have the results for our favourite word for toilet. This is from everyone watching live at the moment. So overall, favourite answer is loo. Quite standard, loo. Yeah, I like that. Some of our other favourites though, we've got dunny, which is from my country. Thought quite liked goblet of fire, which don't know who suggested that one, but that's true for me because I did have a rather spicy meal last night. And bog, which is, I think, a bog standard answer. But without clean water, decent toilets and good hygiene, people cannot fulfil their full potentials and their dreams. In 2017, the Wimbledon Foundation and WaterAid began working together to champion clean water. This year, we came together to ask children around the world, Pakistan, Colombia, Malawi, among others, to share their dreams for the future. This film was created to support this campaign and highlights the power of dreams.
The waiting is over.
It's a fantastic campaign there. Obviously, I've had some dreams as well, but one of them, I was a giant pair of pants, so I'm glad that one didn't come true. Over to you, Jonathan.
Here's another shocking statistic. In Gagalpur and Buxar in India, only 1% of people have piped water in their homes. And of the people who do have access to water in Buxar, 97% of them have it supplied via shallow pumps infected with arsenic.
Not good. So in 2020, WaterAid teamed up with Halma to build a safe water supply in these areas.
Halma is a group of companies that specialises in technology that saves lives. They're providing specialised testing kits to enable communities to monitor the quality of the water.
Halma employees have already raised an incredible amount to help make this project possible and will continue to fundraise over the next year to reach their target of £200,000 to support this project.
Thank you, Halma. And this year we have an exciting new partnership with the British Journal of Photography, with whom we are commissioning 3 photographers to tell new stories about the water and sanitation crisis. The first of these is artist Ngadi Smart, who went to her home country Sierra Leone to capture how climate change is impacting people's access to water. She talked to our own Laura Somerton.
Hi Ngadi, thank you so much for talking to me today. I want to jump straight in and ask you to tell me about your idea for this project.
My idea for this project was to create a photo series that was different from usual NGO photography. And really push the creativity on this project and kind of through that bring more interest to serious issues such as the water crisis in Sierra Leone.
And what did you learn about the relationship between climate change and people's access to water, sanitation and hygiene whilst on the shoot?
In Freetown, extreme rainfall during the raining season caused by global warming is causing mudslides, and despite the amount of rainfall, people still have to travel further to get adequate clean water. And outside of Freetown, it's actually drought, which is causing reducing in natural water sources, which is the main issue.
And the images that you've produced, the final images, they look quite different to what some of our supporters might be used to seeing. So my question is, was that intentional? And can you talk more about your artistic approach?
That was intentional. I wanted to create something different. I wanted to create something distinct, and I did want to catch the attention of people because I think that's the most important, to raise awareness on this issue. And I did this through collaging environments from each portrait. I collaged elements from the environment that the person lived in. And that created the different layers that you see in the photos. People do want to be helped, but they also want to take part in improving their own lives. And that's the general consensus that I got when I was photographing. People just wanted to have, the adequate tools, or be given the adequate tools for them to work in their community to improve it.
Well, I think you definitely have created something distinct, and I can't wait to share them with everybody. Thank you so much, Ngadi.
Those are such beautiful photos.
They're astonishing, aren't they? What impressed me was the crossover between the sort of artistic creativity and straight photography, which I thought gave them extra impact, I thought.
That's exactly what I was going to say, but in better words. So now to look at the achievement of some of our loyal WaterAid supporters, which have been so deeply impressive over this last year. First, Gertrude is one of our wonderful speakers. Since joining the Speaker Network in November last year, Gertrude has done over 14 talks and workshops and had some excellent feedback from audiences.
Marathon swimmer Ryan Provencher signed up to our Swim Marathon Challenge, which asked participants to swim 21 or 42 kilometres over a 12-week period. Ryan took the challenge one step further and completed his full marathon distance in just one day. Since then, he's continued to swim and has logged a huge 232.9 kilometres. Please don't forget the 0.9.
Don't forget the 0.9. I actually did the research and I worked out that that is the same as swimming from London to Doncaster, but obviously on a very rainy day. In summer 2021, James Whittaker cycled the entire 5,700-kilometre coast of Britain over 31 days, covering approximately 185 kilometres a day, starting and finishing in St Andrews, Scotland. With an initial target of £25,000, he has gone above and beyond in his fundraising mission with, wait for it, currently at just under £60,000.
Very, very impressive. Super supporter Cesar Mendes took on his 10th marathon for WaterAid in October, running the Stockholm Marathon wearing a WaterAid bucket hat, as you do. Cesar is aiming to complete 100 marathons for WaterAid. So that's 10 down, just 90 to go.
That is still 10 more than me.
Me too.
And swimmer Deborah Hart took on the Great North Swim 1 Mile Challenge for WaterAid with her friend Victoria back in June. Deborah has been a dedicated supporter for a number of years and has even taken on our January Just Water Challenge numerous times. A big thanks to all the WaterAid supporters out there doing amazing things.
And now to the announcement of the winners of our prestigious President's Awards, which recognise and celebrate the tremendous role that volunteers, groups and organisations play in the growth of WaterAid's work and reputation. Nominated by staff and partners from across the globe, the awards are the highest WaterAid honour and are given by our President, His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales. Here are the very well-deserved winners on the screen. To find out more about their incredible achievements, please read our President's Award blog. You can find this on our website. Congratulations to all our amazing President's Award winners. Now, our first chance to hear our panel of experts responding to your questions. Let me introduce you. Joining us remotely is Ada Oka-Williams from our International Programmes team. And here in the studio with us, we've got Claire Seawood from our Policy and Campaigns team and Fiona Callister from our Fundraising and Communications team.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for joining us.
Hi. Thank you, pleasure.
It's very exciting. Well, I'm just going to kick it off before we jump to the questions from our live viewers. I just wanted to know, Fiona, what is your personal highlight from the last year?
I'm going to slightly cheat and I'm going to choose highlights. And I think that for me is every time I spoke to WaterAid colleague outside of the UK. So like all of the WaterAid and a lot of our listeners today, I've been working in a small box room from home. My world has shrunk. But actually every time you speak to a WaterAid colleague out, you kind of remember you're part of this great family. And there's been something about the last year that just has melted away that distance between us. So we're just working in a different way, and also sort of tackling helping to tackle COVID together.
Ah, that's a fantastic answer. Yeah.
I've got a question here for Claire from Judith. We've heard you're launching a new strategy for the next 10 years. How will that change the way WaterAid works?
I think the big thing out of our new strategy, which I'm really excited about, is it's about scale. We all know what we need to do to make sure everyone has access to water, sanitation, hygiene, and we all need to do so much more. So this is about WaterAid continuing to do the great work on the ground that people are fundraising for, but it's now about how we take that to the next level and get national level change in the countries where we are and even where we aren't working. So it's about working with governments, it's about working with companies, with funders, to really see how we can make that exponential change and really give everyone the rights that they deserve. Good.
And I think you've got one for Ada there, I think.
I do. Ada, I've got, this is from Becky, which says, what has been the impact on not being able to travel to the countries you provide support? Has this changed your future strategy, for example, considering less travel?
Yes, thank you very much for the question, and thanks, Becky, for asking. Definitely, the pandemic and our travels and our ways of working has significantly changed. There's been some impact, and I'm also going to say there's been a lot of adapting and resilience in terms of how our work has continued. So we've relied heavily on technology to be able to continue our work during the pandemic, but we recognize also, and that's brought about a lot of innovation, things we didn't know we could do before, blending programs, doing trainings online, and all of that. But there is a part of it which going into strategizing about how we go forward that we are considering, and that's really around the impact of face-to-face relationship building and working together with teams. There's a benefit that we are losing with just the virtual connections that we have right now. And particularly when it comes to our relationship with governments and partners, especially. Within our teams, we have the infrastructure to continue to work this way, but then we're losing significant ground in terms of how we work with our partners and governments, especially, who may not have the same level of access to technology to support our work. So we'll have to look at how we can continue to travel, but in a smarter way, I would say.
Oh, well, thank you so much, and thank you to our wonderful panel. We will be coming back to you later, so remember to keep asking your questions via the Q&A tab if you're watching this live.
Much of our campaigning this year has been around climate change in the build-up to last month's COP26 summit. We've been pressing for a much greater focus on people's access to water as the first line of defence against climate impacts. Nowhere has this been more self-evident than in southern Madagascar. In these photos you can see where the worst drought in 40 years has dried the land and inflicted famine on the poorest. Ernest Randriamalala from WaterAid Madagascar is working to document the crisis. He visited the south and produced these pictures to show the dried up rivers and the arid, dusty fields where crops once grew. This woman, Florine Azifuts, told Ernest how she no longer had the strength to spend as much as 7 hours a day trying to collect water, and has been driven to eat cacti and fodder meant for cattle to stave off hunger.
I think what's most upsetting is that the largest impact of climate change seems to be on the people who played the smallest role in it.
Yes, no wonder those countries were seeking reparations at the COP summit, I think.
Well, watch this film for a clearer idea of the link between climate change and our work. And in March, WaterAid highlighted the impact climate change is having on people's access to water. Have a look at this awareness-raising stunt on Whitby Beach, supported by players of People's Postcode Lottery.
Climate change is happening now, and it's making it even harder for people living in poverty globally to get clean water. Prolonged droughts mean water sources dry up, while floods and rising sea levels pollute poorly protected water supplies. This striking sand portrait shows 12-year-old Ansha walking to collect dirty water from a river in Ethiopia. By 2040, climate change could make water perilously scarce for 1 in 4 children. WaterAid is calling on governments to invest more to help vulnerable communities protect themselves against the impacts of climate change, so people have water that keeps flowing, whatever the future holds.
Such an evocative and impressive way to use art to raise awareness. And I think that Neil Buchanan has a lot to answer for, because he never did that on Art Attack.
I thought the drone shots there were just stunning, actually. This year, players of People's Postcode Lottery are supporting our climate resilient work as part of the £24 million Postcode Climate Challenge. From Burkina Faso to Bangladesh, we've been building new systems, sharing the power of good hygiene and tackling the injustice of water poverty in 12 countries around the world.
Some more stunning images which featured across the UK media was of these ice sculptures of people around the world collecting water, which were created on the banks of the River Thames in London. They successfully demonstrated how climate change is causing fragile water sources to disappear for vulnerable communities. I think there's something really striking about seeing these images of people from warmer climates who actually exist, but in ice. It's a really nice juxtaposition there.
We also highlighted Malawi's second largest lake, where the water levels have been rising and falling more extremely and more frequently than ever before. 1.5 million people depend on this lake. One is Belita Fenech, who runs a business cooking and selling rice porridge to fishermen. She explains the devastating impact climate change has already had.
Ndiye mavuto amene timakumana nawo kuno kwathu. Kuli chiopsezo chambiri, ndiye kuti mmene kwaphwerera pamene patikangobwera kufika ku nyumba timakhala m'mavuto kwambiri. Kanakhala kuti mwina mwake kombero ndi wachilungamo mwina pano kanatipezera tili kutunda kokucha kuno futo lilipo ndira kombero ndiye tikapanga cho chivula so ikangoyamba so kugwa akachatha ndi nyengo mene inali ndi njala je sindinalima ndimapanga zopulumusa moyo wanga ndi achananga nangookera pang'ono ndikupeza matumba awiri kumachaka chino ndaisisa kuti moyo wanga ndilime mwina nawo ngati ngakhale ndi mwana mwina nzabona kukusa.
This summer, WaterAid launched our climate fight, asking the UK government to support communities already hit the hardest by our changing climate, by investing 1/3 of the climate budget in locally led projects such as those that will bring a year-round supply of clean water.
To increase pressure on the UK government ahead of COP, WaterAid's Basile Ouedraogo in Burkina Faso wrote an open letter. Basile has seen the impact of our changing climate firsthand in the West African country. Temperature rises, droughts and wildfires. And he asked people to sign to show their support. A whopping 19,000 people signed the open letter.
Yep, campaigners, MPs and celebrities joined the campaign, including actors Thandiwe Newton, Grace Scott and Amanda Mealing, TV chef Nadia Hussain, athlete Heather Watson and author Lem Sisse. Amanda Mealing even handed in the letter to be delivered to the UK government.
Earlier, I spoke to Basile about the impact his open letter had had. Basile, merci bien pour nous joindre ici sur le programme. Qu'avez-vous dit dans votre lettre ouverte sur le fait de voir de première main l'impact du changement climatique?
Bien, merci. Dans ma lettre ouverte, j'ai décrit un peu les effets du changement climatique sur la vie des communautés locales ici au Burkina Faso. J'ai eu la chance de les visiter et j'ai vu et je les ai entendus me raconter les souffrances qu'elles vivent au quotidien par rapport aux effets du changement climatique et leur lutte pour pouvoir se maintenir en vie, parce que le changement climatique affecte beaucoup leurs ressources en eau et surtout leur accès à cette ressource qui est vitale pour leur eau de boisson, leur nourriture, leur culture, leurs animaux, etc. Les populations locales dépendent beaucoup de l'eau et malheureusement, le changement climatique est en train d'impacter gravement la disponibilité de cette eau.
Avez-vous été surpris par le soutien qu'il a attiré?
Oui, j'ai vraiment été agréablement surpris par le soutien que cette lettre a obtenu auprès du public et beaucoup du public britannique. J'ai été beaucoup surpris de voir que ma si petite voix et un si simple message venu du profond Burkina Faso, d'un citoyen ordinaire du Burkina Faso, ait été beaucoup supporté, appuyé et porté par les citoyens britanniques, y compris des stars, des personnalités de Grande-Bretagne, pour porter ce message, pour porter la voix des populations auprès des plus hautes autorités du pays, qu'est le gouvernement britannique. J'ai vraiment été très agréablement surpris par cette marque de solidarité et qui a permis que la lettre aille à un si haut niveau pour toucher les décideurs.
Votre petite voix a changé beaucoup, je crois. Suite à la conférence COP26, quel est le changement le plus important requis pour réduire l'impact du changement climatique au Burkina Faso?
Oui, je pense que l'un des changements les plus attendus vraiment suite à la COP26 pour moi, c'est vraiment que les décideurs, ceux qui ont le pouvoir de changer les choses, puissent mobiliser les ressources financières et toutes les ressources nécessaires en tout cas pour pouvoir aider les communautés qui sont déjà affectées par les changements climatiques. Les populations les plus vulnérables au changement climatique ont besoin d'être aidées, d'être soutenues à travers des projets qui leur permettent d'avoir accès à de l'eau en permanence, avoir accès à de l'eau potable, à l'hygiène et à l'assainissement, mais aussi pouvoir bien gérer durablement cette eau pour qu'elle reste toujours accessible et disponible maintenant et tout le temps.
Basile, merci bien pour nous joindre.
Merci.
As we've already mentioned, the 26th Annual Climate Summit, COP26, was held in Glasgow last month as part of the ongoing effort to tackle the mounting climate crisis. And WaterAid were there. Joining us now is Catherine Farr, WaterAid's Climate Policy Advisor, who was in Glasgow. Hi, Catherine.
Hi, Beck. It's great to be here. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining.
Absolutely.
Why is climate change so important? Why does it matter to WaterAid?
So it's absolutely happening in the communities that we work with and that we serve. And so we're seeing on the ground effects of climate change. And a lot of times it still feels, even when we read it in the news, that it's not quite real or that, well, it'll be fine, we're going to fix it. And the reality is we're not going to fix it. We can only hope to stop the catastrophe. I mean, when we talk about 1.5 degree increase, what most people don't realize is we're already at 1.1. So the floods that we're seeing, the droughts that we're seeing, the temperature increases, the changes in availability of water for communities, that's not going away. We can hope that we can work to adapt help those communities adapt and grow in their resilience, which is going to require basic water and sanitation services, because those are basic needs and we can't survive without them. But we also know that we're trying to mitigate the effect by stopping it at 1.5, but we have to realize that some of this is here to stay. And so WaterAid's very engaged because we want to make sure that we're building resilience for the most vulnerable communities around the world. And you see a lot of that as you're talking about our climate fight, but throughout our complete water and climate campaign. And that's one of the reasons that we were at COP26, was part of our campaign to raise awareness and share the voices of our country programs at events in the Blue Zone and the Green Zone.
Yeah, wow. It's so important as well, because obviously in countries like we're in the UK now, it's very easy to take water for granted. Absolutely. I can't imagine turning on the tap for the shower and there not being water or not having clean water. So what are they doing about it? What's happening
now? No, so we've got a lot going on continuing post COP26 with our water and climate campaign, and I'll sort of share 3 examples with you. So the first one is the outcome of the Paris Agreement was that every 5 years countries were supposed to come together and say, we're raising our climate planning ambitions to this level. And the reason there was a lot of energy around COP26 is because this was the first year that those plans came out. And the Climate Pact at the end of Glasgow said, yeah, it was supposed to be in 5 years. This isn't good enough. We've got real problems to deal with. You guys come back next year with better plans. And that was really great, because WaterAid's actually been working with the Pan-Africa Climate Justice Alliance, PACJA, to work with a lot of governments in Africa to make sure that water and sanitation and hygiene are part of those national climate documents and plans. And so that gives us a lot of energy in the coming 12 months to really go, come back to them and go, okay, but we can do more. How can we help you? What can we do? What does this look like? Who can we partner with? So that's really exciting. On the flip side, in order to implement any of those plans, you need financing. And one of the real downsides of COP26 was that the communities and countries in the developing world have been promised $100 billion annually that was supposed to start in 2020. And we're now hearing hopefully in 2023, and that's just not good enough. That financing needs to come through now. And so one of the things that WaterAid is doing is working with a coalition of partners to help countries access that financing through what's called the Resilient Water Accelerator. And that leads me to the third thing, and that's what's happening right now, the support of everyone who is watching this. We need you. You make it possible for us to do what we do every single day, and for these communities to become resilient in the face of climate change. So we need your continued support and your continued enthusiasm to make this happen.
That is incredibly well answered. Thank you so much for joining us, Catherine. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Beck, and thank you for your support.
Thank you.
On the last day at COP, WaterAid took our climate fight to the public-facing Green Zone with our exhibition, The Climate Change and Water Story as Told by Young People. Here's some TikTok content from the exhibition.
And now we have the results through from our earlier poll where we asked you how you were feeling about climate change after the COP26 meeting. And it looks like just over 50% of you feel about the same, but 29% of you watching feel worse. So I think we should probably go into our expert panel to see if they can make anyone feel any more hopeful. Do we have any questions?
We do, actually. We've had a load of amazing questions. Thank you so much for all your questions. Please keep them coming, and we can keep on answering them later, should we not get round to them now. Anyway, first off to Fiona from Peter. Has your income, that's the organisation's income, presumably not yours, been affected by COVID?
Right. So different income streams have been affected differently during the pandemic. So obviously our events, income related to events has been really affected. Lots of events have been cancelled. Some of those have been carried on. We've been able to transfer places to next year. So for example, London Marathon, etc. However, on our individual fundraisers, we've just been blown away by the commitment, the support of our supporters who obviously, you know, we're all going through a hard time, and just their loyalty has just meant so much to us. And also our corporate and institutional donors as well. We've a lot of those have really stepped up to give us sort of very flexible income in terms of being able to sort of change what we were planning to work on with them to sort of have something which responds to COVID. So it's been a mixed picture. We've come through really strongly from this very, very difficult year, and I mean our supporters, both for corporate and individuals, have just been amazing.
Great to hear.
This is a question for Ada, who we've got online. It's from Anonymous, who said, you work in some countries where there has been civil unrest this year. How has that work managed to keep active in those circumstances?
Oh, thank you for the question again. Yes, we do work in this kind of countries, and maybe I'll just give the example of Ethiopia particularly. That's one that's been big on the news as well. So we've been working in Ethiopia for over 3 decades, and we've managed to reach millions with access to water, sanitation, and hygiene. This particular time, when with the ongoing conflict, which we're following very closely and monitoring, we ensure that our mission and our staff and the safety of our staff is assured. First place, our work is going on. We're on target with our mission, but we've had to also be very smart in terms of reorganizing our work given the context. So programmatically, and I'll speak from that perspective, we had to be more realistic with our plans and activities and timelines and how we do work with the government. So to a large extent, our work is going on as normal, but there are certain things, particularly those that we are doing in collaboration with government and government agencies. Our hygiene behavior change work with the Ministry of Health, one to mention, is also, it's ongoing, but at a scale lower than what we had anticipated. Ethiopia is also one country that had declared that they wanted to end open defecation and, bring about hygiene for everyone by 2024. Apparently, that's also not gone at the speed that we had expected. So just examples of how, the ongoing conflict is affecting our work in Ethiopia. But very, very glad that our staff and our partners are still able to continue to go on with business as usual to a very large extent. Thank you.
Thank you, Ada.
Thanks, Ada. And the last one for this round for Claire from Peter. Does WaterAid have the support of the United Nations?
It's a really good question from Peter, and as I was saying before, we can't achieve what we want to achieve by ourselves. So working with others is really important. We definitely work with the UN, and I think we've had some really great examples over the last few years with COVID and obviously the scaled up work on hygiene. We've been doing a lot with the World Health Organization and with UNICEF. And an example of that is in each of the countries that we're working in, we've been really trying to find ways to work with them to set up plans, basically, and roadmaps for how governments can be scaling up their water, sanitation, hygiene and healthcare facilities or hand hygiene plans. And we're doing that collectively with the governments, all of us together, so that we can make sure that there is more investment and better investment to keep people health and safety in the future.
Thanks once again to our great panel. We'll hear once more from them again later in the programme. But now on to this year's Winter Appeal. Beck.
Yes, in Nepal, more than 1 in 3 teenage girls leaves education after primary school. Why? It's to do with water. And that inequality between girls and boys lasts for generations.
In Lahan, southeast Nepal, there's a school of 475 pupils. 58% of these are girls, but they only have one functioning toilet, and the drinking water is polluted. That's why we're launching our Winter Appeal, Thirst for Knowledge. With your support, we can bring clean water and decent toilets to tens of thousands of girls in Nepal, so they can focus on their education and their futures.
So how do dirty water and the lack of decent toilets leave girls in particular behind? And why are we focusing our work on Nepal this winter? Well, for some answers, we can go over to our colleague there, Mani Kamacharya.
Hello everyone, Namaste. My name is Mani and I am the Voices from the Field officer for WaterAid in Nepal. I am part of a global team of storytellers who create space for communities to tell their stories. Most recently, I have been visiting the younger community at a school in Lahan, which currently has no clean water available. I captured many stories and filmed and photographed life at the school and the people within it. I was so happy to meet with the students, teachers, and other community members and talk about the difference WaterAid will make, particularly for the girls whose education is most at risk due to the lack of clean water and good hygiene. We have made this film to tell you their story. Here you go.
I want to become teacher. I'm a nurse banchu. मलाई मेरो विद्यालयको टोयलेट सफा I am Sandhya. मेरो नाम पूजा यादव हो. I am Meena.
As part of our winter appeal, we'd like to invite you to a special virtual visit to Nepal on Wednesday the 19th of January. As part of this experience, you'll explore Nepal and walk virtually alongside our staff as they visit communities in which we work, seeing the impact clean water, decent toilets and good hygiene can have.
To join us, please follow the link on our website to RSVP. Now, please enjoy a special sneak preview of this virtual visit.
Cabin crew, prepare for takeoff.
Please join us this winter and help bring these essentials to schools and communities throughout Nepal. We're committed to extend our work to the Berdia district in Nepal to construct water, sanitation and hygiene facilities in 30 schools and run income-boosting activities such as the making of liquid soap and sanitary pads. Give before the 15th of February and the UK government will match your donations to our Thirst for Knowledge appeal up to a total of £2 million, making double the impact. Beg.
Thank you. For many people and organisations, the Black Lives Matter protests last year challenged WaterAid to make sure that they weren't part of the problem, to commit to being an anti-racist organisation and to take time to work out how to live that out as an organisation.
Earlier, our panellist here, Fiona Callister, discussed this aspect of our work with Dodo Mati Kojo, our Africa Programme Manager, Paulina Della Bordella from our Innovation team, and Nisha Shah from our People team.
Over to you, Fiona.
Thanks very much, Beth. I'm delighted to be here with Dedo, Paulina and Nisha to talk about the Racial Equality and Inclusion Framework. Nisha, perhaps you'd give a brief background of how it came about.
Yes, thank you, Fiona. With the Black Lives Matter movement, we also took the time to listen, reflect and hold some discussions internally and made some important commitments in November 2020 when we launched our global framework for racial equality and inclusion. We are focusing on four areas, as an organisation, and have made some important commitments to review and report on our progress every 3 months. Firstly, to actively commit to learn, educate and deepen our understanding of how racism can manifest within our own behaviours. Secondly, to review our people practices to make sure that they're inclusive and respectful of difference. Thirdly, to look at our internal power dynamics, which might be hindering us from achieving our mission. And fourthly, to review our communications and portray ourselves as an anti-racist organisation.
Great, thanks. And Paulina, you've been involved in some of the allyship work over the last year. What's that consisted of?
Yeah, so over the past year, we've had multiple listen and learn sessions across the organization. This includes some great facilitated sessions with Bilal Harry Khan and looking at the experiences of colleagues across the globe, in the UK, everywhere, and how racism can sometimes manifest itself, and basically just improving ways of working across WaterAid and ensuring that this is a great place to work for everyone everywhere.
Great. And Dedo, you're based in our Ghana office. How is the conversation, but obviously your work extends much wider than that. How has the conversation been continued in country offices?
Thank you very much, Fiona. At the country level, we've had a lot of consultations with all staff to ensure that staff feel part of the process, that staff feel that they are listened to, and that they are involved in the conversation as it goes along. It has also been able to help unpack what power dynamics and inequalities may exist at country level that need addressing to make sure that our policy is actually implemented at practice level as well. Yeah. But Fiona, probably you can tell us a little bit more about how all this is impacting on our communications work.
Yeah, thanks, Dedo. So as part of this work stream, we're looking to make sure that all our communications work, so all the stuff that our supporters receive, all our adverts, all our external stuff, make sure that it's really founded on being an anti-racist organisation. And this is completely in line with our mission, because obviously if we are helping unhelpful power dynamics by not representing the people that we work with in a respectful manner, then actually it makes it much harder for us to reach our mission. Paulina, you and Dedo are part of the Racial Equality and Inclusion Advisory Group. What role has that group been playing?
Yes, so this group is assisting the director's team on monitoring the framework and implementing it across. So we're here, we've got members across the UK and all of our countries, and we're here to review the framework alongside with them, look at our progress, ask those important questions, and ensure that we're doing everything we can, moving at the right speed, and representing our colleagues across the globe to ensure that WaterAid does become the best it can be and a fully anti-racist organization.
Wonderful. Thanks all for your time, and now handing back to the studio.
Thank you, Fiona. And by the wonders of modern technology, we have Fiona live with us in the studio. How'd you do that?
I couldn't tell you.
Well, we've got our final we've got our final questions to the panel. Yes, there we go, words. So I am going to start with you, Fiona, because we got a question here from Caroline, who says, how much do you need to raise for one compost toilet?
Oh, so slightly complicated, and it depends where you are building the compost toilet, but on average it costs us around £54 to build, get a stonemason to build a latrine. Compost toilets are slightly more expensive than that on average because they're just slightly more complex to construct, but they do have the advantage you don't have to empty them because obviously it's all composted underneath. So yeah, I hope that's enough of an answer.
Just don't drop your keys down there.
Indeed, yeah.
And a final question for Claire from Diana. What would you most like your supporters to do besides donating?
So obviously donating is really important, and thank you to all supporters for your excellent work on that, and please continue. The other thing is that we will get the scale of change we want when governments know it's an important issue to the people who vote them in. So it is about talking to members of parliament, it is about signing petitions. A lot of the answers of what needs to be done are known. It's about making the progress and making the change happen. So that is the one extra thing we'd ask people to do.
Thanks so much for our panel for joining us, and thank you once again for joining us and watching and taking part so thoroughly in this programme. Please do keep in touch with us throughout the year via email, phone and social media. The details are now on your screen. That's it from us for another year.
We hope that this has shown you what a transformative difference your support has made over the last year and how WaterAid has made your donations work for the benefit of the many millions around the world who still lack clean water, decent sanitation and good hygiene.
We hope we can count on your continued support into next year and beyond. Thank you for watching.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.